Ann is still enjoying a little time away and will be back with us a week from today. She'll be back on the air Monday, so doing weather in Monday. Steve Caparotto filled in for her last couple of weeks, and we've had some fun guests, and we have a great program today. These ladies were on the show with us on TV a few weeks ago, and when we did the television broadcast, we have very limited time. And we had like a couple of minutes to do about 30 minutes worth of stuff, and they went, wow, that went by so fast, we didn't even touch on half of our, well, so we invited them to come and do a Java Talk. Kathy Victorian is a volunteer with the American Heart Association, and her real job is a Medicaid Territory Marketing Manager with Healthy Blue. She's right here, and I love the glasses.
Thank you, thank you.
That looks like one of the pink ladies from Greece, doesn't it?
I just need my jacket.
Yes, you do. And we also have Chelsea Morrow, and she's the Community Impact Director for the Capital Area American Heart Association.
Yes.
Now, ladies, when y'all were here, was it CPR Week? Or
Yes, CPR Awareness Week.
And June is kind of CPR awareness. I mean, we're still in the month of June.
Yes.
And we were talking, before we get started with this, because if you have always wanted to know how to do CPR, this will not certify you over the internet, but it will teach you what you need to know in the event that even not certified, that you have to do something. And we'll talk about the legal things. There's a hands-on CPR course we'll talk about and things like that. But before we started, I thought we'd get Kathy and Chelsea to do a little fun thing with us. We did it earlier this week. How Southern are you? There are like 39 things on this sheet of paper. I got 27 of them. So I guess I'm a Southern boy. All right, so Kathy, you just did it. And it's things like, you know, how Southern are you? You get 1 point for every food you've eaten. Okay, so 1 to 5, you might be a Yankee. 6 to 10, how's your mom and them? 11 to 15, born and breeded, and breaded. 16 plus, show enough Southern. So, how Southern are you, Kathy?
Born and bred.
Born and bred. Oh, so you got 11 to 15.
Yes, I did. Total 15. There are some things on here I've never heard of, so...
You've never had oyster casserole?
Never.
Oh my gosh, that's delicious. It depends on how it's made, I think, but the one I had was great. How many did you get?
17. And I think it was because I have oyster casserole and chitlins.
I love it. So you are Show Enough Southern. That's awesome. You can take that. We have it up on our website. We have it on Facebook as well. That's kind of a fun little thing there. You've never had frog legs?
No.
That's my favorite animal. I can't do it.
Well, no, it's not the little. It's not the little.
I know. It's still.
It's a different frog.
I
Have you
can't
ever
do
had
it.
turtle soup?
Yes.
And you like it?
It's good.
You?
It's I don't know, it's an aftertaste. I'm not a big fan of it.
Oh, my
I tried
heavens.
it once and that was it.
You need
One
to
and
go
done.
to. You need to go to Commander's Palace in New Orleans. The best turtle soup ever. I have people that tell me they would never eat it, and they, and no, I'm not. Bobby May, our director, said you're buying. I'm not buying. I can't afford Commanders, but once every other year. Great place if you haven't been. CPR and AED discussion, and you and I were the three of us were on the air, and one of the things I didn't get to on the air, and I'll start and let you ladies kind of take it. If someone is in crisis and you start performing CPR on them and they don't make it, are you liable?
No.
Legally, any kind of way?
No, and we would rather you break their ribs. The biggest misconception is how deep a compression needs to be in order to keep the oxygen flowing through the body. Like you said earlier, you no longer have to do the breaths. It's really just making sure that the compressions are being done to save their life. There is, of course, questions of liability. A lot of times people are even more hesitant to perform CPR on a woman because where you would usually do it is on their breast line. So please do not have any hesitation. You can and will save a life. Even if that person doesn't end up living, you are not liable. We've passed laws to ensure that, but also we want to ensure that they have a higher survival rate, because even if you do hands-only CPR, not the full CPR, there's a 3-time likely chance that they will survive. So it's better to take action than to not.
Do you have a higher survival rate when you do the mouth and the compression than just the compression? Why did we go to just the compression? Why is that okay now? When for so long it wasn't.
It's really so more people can be trained and have no hesitation. When you get certified in CPR, it's once every 2 years. You may not be as, yes, you're compliant to get your certification, but are you competent? Are you confident that you can save this person's life? So even just doing the compressions, and it's similar to how you would do traditional CPR. You want to do 60 compressions and 2 breaths when you do CPR.
Well, see, I don't know any of that. We're going to get into all of that. I want to go
Yeah.
right on down the list, though. Why is knowing CPR so very important? Either one of y'all can take that one.
It saves a life, and we want to make sure that Healthy Blue and Anthem, who is our parent company, we want to make sure that we're a part of that. Back in 2009, American Heart Association, they launched this hands-only campaign. And a couple years later, Healthy Anthem Foundation came in and supported this with millions of dollars. So to date, we have over 10.1 million individuals who are actually certified in hands-only CPR. So we're making sure that we give dollars, but we're making sure that those dollars are being put back in the community. And at the end of the day, we have more individuals out there who can save lives. We're about building, making lifesavers, and that's what our dollars do with the American Heart Association. And Chelsea and her team and Karen and Mary, they do just a phenomenal job. And so we want heart healthy individuals out there, but we also want to make sure that everybody get the opportunity to learn CPR.
Now, we're hearing of these kids. We had one this week or 2 this week, and one college and one high school. How early should you learn CPR? How young? Is there too young?
No, not at all. We actually started teaching CPR to kids in kindergarten to Baby Shark. that song is fast enough that you can do the compressions to that beat. So we want everyone at all ages to know CPR and be able to act on it, because most of the time these things happen to our loved ones in our own homes. They're going to happen. 350,000 people go into cardiac arrest each year. So that's how many people we can save their life just by doing the compressions. So it's important to learn it at all ages. We actually now, because of situations like what happened earlier this week, we've passed a law where it is now a high school graduation requirement for students in Louisiana to know hands-only CPR and become a lifesaver. So potentially those things don't happen.
Refresh our memory of what happened this week. Do you know any more about that? What happened?
It's actually similar to the situation that happened to the gentleman that we named this policy after, Bert Cobb. So he picked up Bert Cobb, and it's almost an exact story, after football practice, picked up a game of basketball, dropped dead on the court, and no one knew what to do. That was the problem. No one knew hands-only CPR, nobody acted on it. The AED was locked on the other side of campus. So how can we train more people and now make it a requirement for high school students so things like that don't happen again? This situation earlier this week is very similar. It was getting overheated, potentially having a heart defect go undetected after football practice.
So that was it was something that was congenital that had not been detected earlier this week. Is that what they've determined?
I
that?
believe
Yeah.
so, but I don't know for sure. But it's oftentimes where it just goes undetected, or because it's so important for summer safety in the heat to just know, heat stroke and how things can affect your heart.
And we're going to get to some of the summer safety tips. So that's CPR, and that stands for?
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Now, you mentioned the AED.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is the AED, and when would you use the AED instead of the CPR, or would you use CPR and not use the AED? How would you even know?
If there is access to an AED, it's very good for you to utilize it.
So the AED, if you've got access to that, that's preferable over when someone goes
You
in?
want to do it in addition to. You would do 60 compressions, and then if that person still isn't breathing, then you would find an AED. Oftentimes, it can be so rigorous to do CPR that it's good to have someone else there to switch out with.
Tag team, yes.
So while someone else is, of course, the very first thing you want to do is call 911.
Right.
But someone else can be getting the AED while you're doing compressions and switching on and off, because that is actually going to defibrillate their heart and potentially jolt it back to life.
So that's automated external defibrillator, AED. We see them all over the place in public buildings, and our church even has one in the narthex of the church. But I wouldn't know if someone fell out if you start compressions immediately, or if you go grab the box off the wall, or...
You want to start compressions immediately, and the really great thing that you should do if you have an AED is, of course, just like in hands-only CPR or CPR in general, people don't want to use it because it does shock people. You could hurt yourself or anyone around you, but it's yelling at you literally to know what to do, because in those situations your adrenaline's pumping, it's a loved one, you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to save their life. So we want the AED to actually instruct you. The other great thing, when you call 911 now through a policy that we passed, not this session that just passed, but last year, is telephone CPR. Now all dispatchers are required to be able to walk you through, teach you CPR while they're on the phone getting someone to help you.
Wow, Kathy, I feel like Chelsea and I are doing all the talking there. You can chime in anytime here.
It's just a wonderful partnership. Chelsea and the American Heart Association, they're all about the heart. And if your heart is not functioning right, Johnny, you know, Chelsea knows, everyone who's watching knows that you cannot function well. And we're all about making sure that you actively participate in your health. And I think CPR is at the top of the list when individuals actively participate in their health. And this kit, we suggest this kit. We give this kit out. This is from Anthem's Foundation, and typically at the Go Red for Women luncheon, we give these kits out. And not only that, we actually give these kits out at different schools, because we want the young folk to be able to do any and everything that an adult can do to save a life. So we're excited about this. One of the things that that many families do, they have family night. You know, you have game night and all that wonderful stuff. Why not have a hands-only CPR training night? Take that fun level up a notch. Get the family together and learn CPR in the comfort of your home.
That is a great idea. I asked a cardiologist in Houston one time, I said, okay, out of all of the risk factors for heart disease, overweight, inactivity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, family history, and smoking, is there one of those that you think trumps the others? And he, without hesitation, said, and I'm not an obnoxious non-smoker, he said smoking, in his opinion, way outweighs all of the other risk factors, even hereditary. Yeah, I'm like, why? Because he was a thoracic surgeon, a cardiac surgeon, and he said, you would not believe the arteries that I bypass if they live to be bypassed in smoking. He said, if people saw what I see in the OR, he said they would never, they would cold turkey. He said that would be better than a patch, better than a gum, Nicorette or whatever. But yeah, he said out of all 6 heart risk factors, smoking is way at the top. It's like, it blows me away.
Wow.
And you're so right. Heart disease is the #1 killer of all Americans. And that's one of the reasons why we have this partnership, because we know so many people are affected by it, but it's 80% preventable. If you don't smoke.
80% preventable?
If you do, yes.
That's a high percent. I didn't
That's a high-
realize it was that. Holy cow. That's incredible. So I want to get down to the floor here. You brought some things on the floor to kind of show us, because you were talking. In fact, we're going to go ahead and transition down there, if you wouldn't mind. We're going to step off our little stage here and come down to the. I'm so impressed that you brought so that I don't have to lay on the floor as the dummy, because around here I'm the dummy. Even our general manager said that. She goes, "Well, we got plenty of dummies around here,"
Oh.
but in a loving and kind way. So you brought both, right? You brought
Yes.
the AED, and you brought, I'll say, we'll move the AED because I want to do the compression first. And this would be an adult.
Yes.
And there's a little difference in doing it on a child?
Yes.
Okay.
and we can show you both. So I'm actually going to teach you.
Oh, okay.
You go ahead and do it. So what you would do, if someone, of course, goes into cardiac arrest or has a heart attack, you want to ensure that you first call 911, check their, of course, hey, are you okay? If you realize that they aren't breathing, check their pulse, and now you've decided, okay, I have to do CPR. You would take your dominant hand and the heel of that palm, put it in the center of the chest.
Like right here.
Yes, and then to help get your full body weight, you want to lock your other fingers around it, so then you're utilizing, and lock out your arms, so then you're utilizing your whole body weight to get that
So you
deep
lock out this arm.
compressions.
Okay. And just go?
Yeah. There you go.
Staying alive,
Wow.
staying alive, staying alive, staying alive,
So you do it that fast?
That's
that
how
often?
fast.
staying
So that would be
alive.
like what, a 60
alive.
beat per minute
It's
heartbeat?
actually 100 to 120 beats per minute that you want to make sure that you're doing CPR.
Well, I can already tell you why you would need a tag team partner.
Right?
It gets your heart going. Saving a life actually gets your heart going.
Right.
You're putting all of you into that life that you're trying to
Wow.
save. So you're literally becoming a lifesaver.
Now I'm amazed at how hard you have to press.
Yes.
That surprised me.
So that's why people are concerned that they're going to break ribs, but we would rather you break a rib, and of course,
No,
don't
a real
be
human, you're not
hesitant.
going to have the click that tells you. But I'm
Exactly.
telling you right now, when I started, I feel like I'm doing it hard enough right here.
No, but you got to go deeper. Yes.
So that's why you got to put your whole body in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow. And just staying alive, just if you can do that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
that
about 100
adrenaline is going. You may not think to have this song in your head, but everything happens so fast. You just have to get that rhythm going, and all you're focusing on is the individual that's before you, and you giving all that you can to save this life.
So you just on this person's side. You don't need to straddle the person. And,
No, you want to be on their side. You want to try, if they are in a situation where maybe they're on the couch, you want to try to get them to the floor. If they're on the bed and in a stable position, you can likely reach over them. As long as you are in a place where you can get the compressions deep enough, that's what's important, but you want to ensure your safety and theirs. So once you do 60 compressions, you can then, and an AED is available, you can then grab the AED and someone would likely bring it to you while you're doing the
So
compressions.
call 911. 60 compressions first,
Yes.
and then someone else is setting this up for you while you're doing that.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
rotate it toward the camera so we can see.
so
There
what
you go.
happens is, and this is the actual AED that I took from our office, so I may not use the sticky pads because this could actually save a life. This isn't a
Right, right,
training
right.
one. But when you open it, it begins to activate itself.
I see it.
Stay calm.
And yell at
Follow
you.
these voice instructions. Make sure 911 is called now. Begin by exposing patient's bare chest and torso. Remove or cut clothing if needed.
So that's going to walk you through everything.
When
And it
patient's chest
actually
and
is
torso are exposed,
if
remove square
they
foil
have
package
a monitor,
from
it's
lid
also
of
going to
AED.
come up for you to
Right.
read
Tear
as
open
well.
foil package
We're not
across
gonna do
dotted
that.
line
Right, so
and
you would
remove
tear this
pads.
open and you would put it here
Next,
and
separate one
there
of the
on their
white
body.
pads
So probably
completely
like
from
right
blue
here
plastic liner.
and right
Begin
there.
peeling
Yeah.
from the tabbed
So
corner.
then you would remove it, put the pads on.
Next, separate one of the white pads completely from
And
blue
then you
plastic
would,
liner. Begin peeling from the tabbed corner.
Sorry.
Wow. So there's just it's stupid.
So
proof.
it's
Yes.
it's going to take you through every step. So it's going to tell you, okay, now shock and step away. So you press the button and you step away, so you also don't get hurt through the process. And that way you are at your full capability to continue to save their life, because you may do this and it doesn't immediately jolt them back, or they may need continued compressions regardless.
Right.
So it helps you, but it's not going to completely bring them back to life. It's just going to continue to flow that oxygen and give their heart a shock.
Okay, so say you've done the AED and you've still got the sticky pads on there. Do you go back to this after they've been shocked?
Yes.
Now, is there a risk in touching the patient with these pads still on it?
No, as long as the you are the one that's in control of the
Okay.
shock. So you want to keep the pads on them because you may need to shock them again. But for the most part, as long as
But the AED is not going to feel the compressions have started and do something. And
Correct.
I got you.
Correct.
I got you. That is fascinating. How many volts is that?
I honestly don't know.
I mean, that's good. I've heard that's a pretty good zap. These people that have these automatic defibrillators inside their pacemaker and they get zapped. We had that happen on live TV one time, actually. Okay, so
So
Go ahead.
I'll grab the baby, but
Okay.
what you can do is now for anyone that's usually 75, 100 pounds, it depends on their weight, of course. Basically, toddler and older, but still a child. You want to do CPR, but it's a little different. And then, of course, we'll talk about how the baby is even more different. So on children, you would do the exact same thing that we learned earlier, but one arm, which
Okay.
I think is more difficult because the way that I like to ensure that I'm still getting my full body weight is to utilize my other arm to lock out my elbow and still get the same type. But I think this is harder. I just generally don't have a whole
So-
lot of upper body strength.
so at what age would you use the two arms, or what? I mean, because this is an infant, obviously.
Yes, so infants, we're going to use fingers and we're going to talk about it. But for children, it would be just like the adult.
Okay. With one arm.
With one arm.
Gotcha.
So for a baby, I think it's best to actually hold the baby. Most of the time, you can do just 2 fingers in the center of the chest,
Okay.
and that's what you want to do. On a baby, the other thing, of course, is oftentimes we want to ensure that they aren't choking on something first, because then that could lodge it further into them. So, of course, check for any choking hazards. On a baby, the pulse is actually on the inside of their arm. It's like right here.
Okay.
So check their pulse and then begin CPR. You can do the 2 fingers in the same way, hard and fast in the center of the chest, but I think it's better, or I would feel more comfortable doing it this way, where you have full range of the baby's body and
wow.
can do it with your thumbs in the same way. It's still 2 fingers, still the same 100 beats per minute, but you want to ensure your safety and the
There's
baby's.
so much to know.
Yeah.
There is so much
It
more to
is.
this than you realize when you say, oh, do you know CPR? This is a lot more
And this
involved.
is just hands only.
That is crazy. That is wild. This is so important.
Yes.
Oh, our director looked it up. 3,000 volts in less than a second
Wow.
on most AEDs.
Wow.
But that shouldn't make us spooked or scared to do it. I mean, we need to get that out and save some lives.
Right.
Well, let's transit. 0.001 second. Holy cow. 0.001 of a second. Let's
Wow.
transition back up to the desk
Yeah.
and talk about some of the other things that we can do to, for heart health and summer safety. I know a lot of us are doing yard work this weekend. 107 degree feel like heat index, things like that. So the American Heart Association has put out some summer safety guidelines. Even if you have a healthy heart, can you be in danger of a cardiac event if you get into a heat stroke or a situation?
Yes, because oftentimes the heat is so hard on your body that you can pass out and go into cardiac arrest. It's really that the activity that you're doing plus the heat is putting stress on your heart.
Wow.
So even if you are a heart healthy person in every way, you still, of course, need to stay hydrated and take breaks. And there is, other fun ways, gardening and the lawn
Right.
care is not always that fun, at least not for me. So, I mean, even if you're outside grilling or, being
Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
areas where you're also doing an activity that generates heat in the heat, make sure that you stay safe.
I don't have my computer set up, but Amanda, our producer in the back room, has a couple of Facebook questions. Amanda, go ahead and give me one. I don't have my computer here, so you're going to have to tell it to me. Because people are watching this live on
Yeah.
Facebook, so I'm not sure if she hears me. If someone gasps, should they stop the compression? Like if you're doing compression on someone and they, like when do you know to stop? That's a great question.
That is a great question. that could be a false alarm. So you want to continue the compressions until they are capable enough to say, I'm okay.
And EMS arrive on the
Absolutely.
scene to take over. Yes.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So the reason why we want you to continue compressions for as long as possible and hopefully have a buddy, because after 2 minutes you are going to be wiped out, is because when you call 911, EMS should take between 5 and 6 minutes to get to you. So you want to make sure that the oxygen in their body and the blood flow is being pushed through for at least 6 minutes so people can get proper care. And we've also worked with municipalities to ensure that when you call 911 and you tell them what's happening, you may not be taken to the hospital that is closest to you. You will be taken to the hospital for the best quality of care for what is happening to you.
Okay. I never really understood that. I thought it was some kind of insurance or money thing.
No.
Give us another question, Amanda. Go ahead. What if someone has a pacemaker and you have to use the AED? What if you see the little bulge or know from knowing who they are that they have a pacemaker? Should you use the AED or?
I would hesitate to use the AED, and oftentimes when people who have medical
Medical conditions.
medical
require a
conditions,
pacemaker.
yeah, I was going to say ailments, they often, or they should, wear some type of medical bracelet to say, don't do this, you can do that, or
Right.
Right.
don't, put an IV on this side of my body for these reasons or whatever. So they should carry some type of knowledge of what someone who is trying to save their life needs to know.
So basically, if you know they have a pacemaker, don't use the AED. That's kind of a rule of thumb.
I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no on that one,
But you're not going to hurt them at all by
You're
doing the
but you're not
compressing.
going to hurt them. Yeah.
Right, I got you. Wow, this is just so much to learn. Where can we go for? Is there somewhere in the city that has regular courses? And when you take a course, are you getting some type of wallet card to show that you have been
Yes.
properly trained? And so where are some of
So
these
you
courses?
can go to heart.org/find a course, and anywhere and everywhere there's always something going on, even if it's just hands-only CPR. But if you want to be certified, that's where you would go to find a course near you.
Wow. You're just, I feel like we're hogging it.
You're not hogging it. It's great information, and I want everyone to get as much information as they possibly can because this is important. But one of the other things that American Heart Association and Healthy Blue does throughout the area, we have these different events, and at these events we do the same thing. We make sure that we demo. We make sure that we have a physician there to talk you through whether it's an adult or a baby. But we gel together. We come together and to make sure that that we do the right thing, and we do the right thing with the spirit of excellence. Healthy Blue, in my mind, we do well as a company because we do good in the community by partnering with great organizations such as the American Heart Association to give back in this way. Knowledge is power, but the applied knowledge is more powerful. And this right here, that applied knowledge and learning how to do this, that can help you save a life.
And these kits also, as Kathy was saying, at events across the community throughout the whole year, we're giving away these kits with them. They actually come with a DVD. It also teaches you the Heimlich maneuver and anything that you need to be a lifesaver. So it's really important for us to be able to arm the community with these, because even if we taught 1% more in our 8 parishes that we serve, that's 7,000 people that know how
Wow.
to save a life.
Now, you mentioned that you're giving education as young as kindergarten. How young, how old do you have to be certified in a course? Is there an age limit for the course?
I am not sure.
Not sure.
Most of the time you want someone who is a teenager or older to
Right.
become certified in the course. Every time we give one of these kits away, I say, don't you need this for your babysitter? Because we often work with families, and to have this in the household can make a tremendous
I
difference.
was going to ask, with a lot of us dealing with aging parent issues and things like that, as the baby boomers start aging and their parents are even older, obviously, is there more and more, are there more and more AEDs being put in homes? Is it beneficial to put one in your house, or is it a detriment to doing that, or?
There's no detriment to doing it. Most people don't have them in their
Right.
household. I've actually never thought about that. We ensure that they're in public places, but if you know someone who has a potential to have any type of cardiac event, it could only help.
I'm glad you showed us that the thing. We'll talk you through it because, like I said, there's one in our narthex at our church, and we've never been instructed in it. They've never offered instruction in it, but I guess if you pull it down off the wall and open it, it's going to start talking to you.
And not only does it talk to you, but individuals who may be hearing impaired, it also is scribing. There's a scribing going at the bottom to tell you everything that's being said out loud. It's actually
For the
you can
hearing
read it.
impaired.
Yes, for the hearing impaired. Yes. So it's everything was put into thought when this beautiful piece of
Life-saving equipment, yeah.
Yes.
Guys, we're out of time, but I'm glad that now I see why the 2-minute on the air the other day, you guys both looked at me and went, that's it? We didn't have any time to do anything. Kathy, Victoria, and Chelsea Morrow, will you guys come back?
Absolutely.
I love this. Do you ever go into offices and do a group certification
We will
program?
go anywhere.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have information on the website for that. Java Talk on Friday. Diane will be back on the air with us on Monday. Today's the first day of summer. Feels like we've already had the first day of summer.
Right,
Technically
right.
at 10:54. So 10:54 will be the first first minute of summer. So enjoy your summer, ladies, and hopefully we can get you back on and maybe even back in the office in the conference room.
Thank you so
Thank y'all
much.
so much.
Thank
Java Talk on right here on Facebook. Thank you guys for joining us. See you around the city this weekend. Join us again today at noon, 5, 6, and 10. Apps for the traffic and weather of the weekend. And we'll see you Monday on 9 News This Morning. Take care.